The chemicals present in the body of living organisms come from the abiotic component of the environment. These chemicals circulate in the ecosystem and are returned to the environment again when decomposers like bacteria and fungi decompose the dead bodies. Thus, we can say that chemical elements are circulating between the living and non-living environment. This circulation of elements between the living and non-living environment is called the biogeochemical cycle. Carbon cycle. Carbon is the main component of organic compounds present in living organisms, which makes the carbon cycle very important for life. Earth's atmosphere contains almost 0.04% carbon dioxide, and the biological environment depends upon plants to convert carbon into sugars, proteins, and fats. Carbon is the fourth most abundant element in the universe and absolutely essential for life. During the process of photosynthesis, plants use sunlight to bind carbon to glucose, releasing oxygen in the process. Through other metabolic processes, plants may convert glucose to other sugars, proteins, or fats. Animals obtain their carbon by eating and digesting plants, so carbon moves through the biotic environment through the trophic system. Herbivores eat plants but are themselves eaten by carnivores. Carbon returns to the physical environment in a number of ways. Both plants and animals respire, so they release carbon dioxide during respiration. Luckily for animals, plants just happen to consume more carbon dioxide through photosynthesis than they can produce. Another route of carbon dioxide back to the physical environment occurs through the death of plants and animals. When organisms die, decomposers consume their bodies. By the process of decomposition, carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere. Some of the carbon returns to the physical environment by way of fossilization. Burning a fossil fuel produces carbon dioxide, which returns to the atmosphere. The nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen is the most abundant element in the atmosphere and a building block of protein and nucleic acid. The nitrogen cycle is a complex biogeochemical cycle in which nitrogen is converted from its inert atmospheric molecular form into a form that is useful for biological processes. These are the following steps of the nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen fixation. In this step, nitrogen, N2, is converted to ammonia, NH3, with the help of certain bacteria, for example, the genus Rhizobium. Nitrogen-fixing bacteria often form symbiotic relationships with legume plants, like beans and peas. In addition, lightning, forest fires, and even hot lava flows can cause nitrogen fixation in small amounts. Ammonification. The ammonia produced by nitrogen-fixing bacteria is usually quickly incorporated into protein and other organic nitrogen compounds, either by a host plant, the bacteria itself, or another soil organism. After nitrogen is incorporated into organic matter, it is often converted back into inorganic nitrogen. When organisms die, decomposers consume the organic matter. During this process, a significant quantity of the nitrogen contained within the dead organism is converted to ammonium. Nitrification. Once in the form of ammonium, nitrogen is available for use by plants or for further transformation into nitrate ion through the process called nitrification. This process is carried out by nitrifying bacteria that transform soil ammonia into nitrates. One group of bacteria, Nitrosomonas, converts ammonia into nitrites, and a second group of bacteria, Nitrobacter, converts nitrites into nitrates. Nitrification requires the presence of oxygen, so nitrification can happen only in oxygen-rich environments like circulating or flowing waters and the very surface layers of soils and sediments. Denitrification. In this step, oxidized forms of nitrogen such as nitrate and nitrite are converted to molecular nitrogen and, to a lesser extent, nitrous oxide gas. Denitrification is an anaerobic process that is carried out by denitrifying bacteria, such as Pseudomonas, which convert nitrate to molecular nitrogen, which is rapidly lost to the atmosphere. Relationship of biogeochemical cycles with flow of energy and ecological balance. Biogeochemical cycles, or cycling of substances, is a pathway by which a chemical element or molecule moves through both biotic and abiotic components of Earth. In fact, the element is recycled. although in some cycles there may be places where the element is accumulated or held for a long period of time, such as an ocean or lake for water. Water, for example, is always recycled through the water cycle. The water undergoes evaporation, condensation, and precipitation, falling back to Earth clean and fresh in the form of rain, snow, dew, etc. Elements, chemical compounds, and other forms of matter are passed from one organism to another and from one part of the biosphere to another through the biogeochemical cycle. All chemical elements occurring in organisms are part of biogeochemical cycles. In addition to being a part of living organisms, these chemical elements also cycle through abiotic factors of ecosystems such as water, land, and the air. All the nutrients such as carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur, these chemicals are recycled instead of being lost and replenished constantly. The sun constantly gives the planet Earth energy in the form of light. This energy is eventually used and lost in the form of heat throughout the trophic levels of a food web. Carbon is used to make carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, the major sources of food energy. These compounds are oxidized to release carbon dioxide, which can be captured by plants to make organic compounds. Therefore, these chemical reactions come from sunlight.